But let's go ahead and talk about the game on Sunday. One game left as we see
Oh yeah, there's a game on Sunday.
the playoff
Wait, what?
bracket in front of us. It is Super Bowl 59.
Superb owl.
Superb Owl 59. Um, so this, of course, this Sunday, 6:30 Eastern time on Fox from the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. That's why our backdrop is Bourbon Street this week. You have the number one seed in the AFC, your AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs, 17-2 on the season, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, the NFC champion, number two seed in the NFC, 17-3 on the season. The Chiefs are a 1-point favorite currently, so really kind of a coin toss game there. Your over under on this one is 49. Before we talk about actual picks and picks against the spread and all of that, we did this for the college football playoff national championship. I think the exercise went well. And so let's do it again for the Super Bowl. Sean, I'll start with you for this part of both sides of the coin. I'll let you put the stamp on the Eagles side of it. But the Kansas City Chiefs will lose if what?
The Kansas City Chiefs will lose if they fail to keep it locked at least a one-score game. And by that I mean, could the Eagles, score to get it to like 10 or 13 or something like that, but Mahomes comes down and slams it right back to a one-score game? That would be, I think that's okay for the Kansas City Chiefs. What they don't want is for the Eagles to go up 2 scores and then fail to score and give it back to Philadelphia and kind of let Philadelphia do what it does best and start using. Because I think at that moment, Philadelphia will count that as if it's like the last 6 minutes of the game. And you will try to burn as much of that clock as you can and try to get whatever points that you can. And if you don't, pin them deep. And I think that playing to the Eagles' strength there and letting the Eagles become a running team by game script, not just by design, I think I don't think you come out of that hole. Not that they can't, but I just don't see it happening.
All right, Mikey B, the Kansas City Chiefs will lose if?
The Kansas City Chiefs will lose if they are unable to get the intermediate pass game effective. I don't think you're beating the Philadelphia Eagles over the top. I don't think that their offensive line is going to be able to contain the front four of the Philadelphia Eagles. So they're going to have to get the ball out of Patrick's hands quickly, to Kelsey, to Worthy, to the running backs out of the backfield, whether it's P. Ryan or Pacheco or Kareem Hunt. They're going to have to almost dink and dunk this thing down the field, because I don't necessarily know, with the exception of Xavier Worthy just running by somebody, that they're going to have all the time in the world to just let these guys get open running 15, 20-yard down the field routes. The Eagles' defense has been good all season about getting pressure on the quarterback. I don't think it changes in this game. So if you're the Chiefs and to win this game, you got to get that middle ground, that middle of the field offense going. If not, you're going to lose this game.
Yeah, for me, the Chiefs lose if they think they can win a shootout. Look, I mean, the over-under at 49, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you want this game to be under. You're not the offense to win an offensive shootout with the Philadelphia Eagles. You're just not. You're that like we've talked about it not only this year, we've talked about it last year. The Chiefs, despite having what some people say and think is the best quarterback of all time, you are a defensive team first. So you have to let that be your identity in this game if you want a chance to win. Mike, on the other hand, the Philadelphia Eagles will lose if?
The Eagles will lose if they aren't able to at least have 25 plus minutes of time of possession. I understand they can hit the home runs, they can score at any point, snap of the fingers, whether it's Saquon, whether it's Hurts breaking off a run, whether it's AJ, whether it's Smitty. Any of those guys can break free at any time. But, as alluded to by the Eagles fan Sean, I feel like their first drive of the game, their last drive before the half, and any drive they get in the fourth quarter, they have to think of it as a 6+ minute drive. They've got to hold the football and not let Patrick get the football back. Now, if they're up multiple scores, like Sean has alluded to, would be bad news for the Chiefs, then obviously you're gonna have that mindset. But I would still have that mindset in a 1-score game, because the more that I can keep Patrick LeVon Mahomes II on the sideline, the better chance I feel I have of winning the football game, even though my defense is great, because I don't have to worry about anything other than hold on to the football.
Yeah. For me, the Eagles will lose if Chris Jones takes over the game. Because that defensive front for the Kansas City Chiefs can disrupt things. So you're going to have to become creative in the offensive game, even though you have the best running back in football, or at least one of. You have a dynamic quarterback. You're going to have to be creative at the line. If Chris Jones, starts taking the game into his hands, I think that plays into what the Chiefs want to do. That's going to get the Eagles offense off the field. And that's going to let the Chiefs offense get to work. And try to, keep the Eagles offense away from the field as much as possible. So I think that will be a problem for the Eagles if they let it. Sean, the Eagles will lose if.
I'm gonna stay away from the obvious one. I think a lot of what all three of us are going to mention are going to point to the obvious: if the Eagles can run the ball, or if the Chiefs can stop the run. I'm going to stop because I mean, obviously that's where my brain goes first. But I think for me, the Eagles will lose if they lose the turnover battle. I think the Eagles are an opportunistic. They're not only a great defense at limiting yards and at getting to quarterbacks and at not leaving receivers open. They're also incredibly opportunistic from, at the linebacker position, whether it's Vaughn and punching balls out, or even, Vaughn in coverage has been spectacular, but whether it's interceptions or fumble recoveries or, whatever the case is, if we are giving the ball away more than the Chiefs, I think we're in trouble. Because I think you then limit your ability to run the clock. You limit your ability to go up more than one score, and you're putting short fields in front of Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid. And if you're doing that more than the Chiefs are doing it for you, you're going to find yourself in a real tough spot.
So not to derail it to hockey, Ovechkin might have just scored an empty netter. It went in like as the puck. They're going to have to look at this on review, because it was real darn close. I don't know if they awarded it or not. I'll keep you up to date on that. Devin said the Eagles will lose if they use the tush push too many times. It's an interesting thought there, because they've been very successful at it. But if there's a team that can probably stop it, let's see the AFC Championship. It could be the Kansas City Chiefs. Is that a good goal?
Cap's Twitter says it's an empty netter with 0.1 left, baby.
Let's go. So that we're down to 17 away now. 17 away.
Incredible.
From the record. That might have also just won me a parlay. I don't know if he had another shot on goal in the game, because I had an Ovechkin. Part of it was an Ovechkin and goal, and he had 2 shots on goal in the game. So I hope he had another shot along the way. Mikey B.
2 shots.
I was going to say with the tush push, I think if the Eagles try to get too cute and use the tush push too few, it's going to be a balance. Because I think if they use it too few times, where you're like, why didn't you just shove it up the middle on 3rd and 1 instead of trying something clever? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's also bit them in the butt a few times. I think it's that balance of doing that. And if they don't get too cute, like with the fake, they've done that, the fake tush push, which I do like in the right situation, but I feel like they always force it. So the tush push is good to point out, but to me, it's going to fail a few times. It's going to succeed a few times, and I'm hoping it's just not a deciding factor.
Sean, we'll go to you. First on this one, the Chiefs will win if.
Okay. Now this is not jumping on the obvious thing that I did, but the Chiefs will win if they can win in the trenches. If they can, I think the Eagles, in my opinion, are the best team on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball in the NFL. When you factor in offensive and defensive line, I think the Eagles have one. I think we have the best offensive line in football, and I think we have one of the best defensive lines in football. But with guys like Jalen Carter, and if the offensive line for the Chiefs can limit Jalen Carter's success and kind of keep Pat Mahomes, from or at least just allow Pat Mahomes to kind of control or manage the game, because the Eagles' goal is going to be to just contain him. They're not going to want him to get outside. You're going to want to get there and disrupt him like you do against any star quarterback. But if the Chiefs can push the Eagles around, I would say even just over half the time. Doesn't have to be dominant. It just has to be not dominant the other way. I think then at that point, that's the recipe for the Chiefs to win.
Mike, the Chiefs will win if.
The Chiefs will win if unanimous student of the game, defensive player of the year, Chris Jones, causes havoc. Whether it's stopping the tush push, because I think he's one of the only few guys that I think is a dominating enough force as a defensive tackle to hamper that play. The other one that I give some love to in that regard is probably Vita Vea, just because of that dude is super athletic for being as big as he is. But he has to cause havoc everywhere. He's going to have to get guards and centers double teaming him to allow guys like George Karlaftis and to get to the quarterback, to keep Jalen Hurts contained, make him throw the football more, and not let him use his legs, because the minute you let him use his legs, that's an issue. So I think this is. There hasn't been a Super Bowl the Chiefs have played in the last however many years where I haven't looked up and I thought the X factor wasn't what Patrick Mahomes was going to do. This is the first one where I look at it and I go, I don't think this has anything to do with Patrick Mahomes. I think this is 100% what Chris Jones and that defense can do, and that's going to be the determining factor if they win this football game.
For me, the Kansas City Chiefs will win. Obviously, besides some of those obvious things with the defense, if Patrick Mahomes converts 3 or more, like 3rd and long or 4th down plays, because as great as the Eagles defense is, if the Chiefs offense, despite their limitations, starts to do some of those things that we have seen them do at critical points of the game, some of that, shit, here we go again sort of mindset, I think can kind of creep in, and you can start to go, how do we stop this guy? And then a unit that has been so good all year starts to doubt itself, overthink itself, things like that. That's where the Chiefs can take over and do the things that we have seen them do against so many teams, especially over the last couple of seasons. So to me, that's kind of the key for the Chiefs. Mike, we'll start with you on this one. The Philadelphia Eagles will win if.
The Philadelphia Eagles will win if they win the turnover battle. Force a turnover. You got to get the football back as many times as you can in this game. You watched you do it against the Commanders on your own home field. You turned pretty much all of those turnovers, if not all but one of them, into points, whether it was 3 or 7. You got to do it here. You got to do it on the biggest stage. You got to find a way to get as many extra possessions as you can. And now, does that mean it's going to be Mahomes throwing interceptions? No, probably not. But punching the ball out, keeping I guess there's two. It's a two-part bit here. Contain whoever has the football. If it's Xavier Worthy gets the ball and you got one guy that wraps him up, get 3 or 4 more guys to the ball as quickly as possible, because he breaks out, he can run away real quick. So I think like it's a compound thing for me. turnovers and contain whoever has the football.
Yeah, for me, I mean that was going to be mine. I'll expand on it a little bit. Because I do think that if they win the turnover battle, they do. To me, the Eagles will also win if they convert turnovers into points, especially if they do it into touchdowns. Because again, now I talked about some things with the AFC title game. Look at the NFC title game. Like, was the game quote unquote close? Not really. Was it 55-23 blowout level? I also think not really. But the key there, 4 turnovers, and you turned those turnovers into points. You made those turnovers count. So not only does it stall an offensive drive, but now it makes that next one that much harder. So for the Kansas City Chiefs, when you're already probably the lesser of two offenses, if you turn the ball over and the Eagles then, that's taking away a possession, then they add points on top of it, that makes the job that much harder on both your offense and your defense. If you can start to add those up, it's going to hit a point that the Chiefs can't recover from. Sean, the Eagles will win if.
Well, I had to hone in on this one because I started very general, and I was very much on like the Eagles will win if the moment's not too big. You know what I mean? Like if you can remain calm, kind of the Eagles will, if they can play their game. And I didn't like that because that's fairly obvious. I also, I was kind of lining, if you can let your stars shine, in the sense that, like, I still feel the Eagles are a better roster. I feel like the Eagles have more talent than the Kansas City Chiefs as a whole. It's just these moments of like, well, let's not bet against Pat Mahomes, or like they have Andy Reid, or, and you can't let those things get in your mind. So I've honed it into one thing. If either A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith has a great day, I'm talking like 90-plus yards, 1 or 2 scores, like a not even a spectacular day, but a great day. If either of those do, and the passing game is solid outside of the running game, there's no way that the Eagles lose. I feel like especially if A.J. Brown is involved, if he starts to be a go-to guy for Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts starts to believe in himself throwing to A.J. Brown, I think the Chiefs have already lost. So, because the games where he's been afraid to throw to A.J. Brown or has like checked down and done those things, they find themselves in much closer games. But A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith have to have days. It can't just be Dallas Goedert. You have to get the wide receivers involved, at the very least, to push that Chiefs defense back. But if those two have a day, or even just one of them, I think the Kansas City Chiefs are in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. So now it comes down to picks time. Again, Kansas City, a 1-point favorite for this one. 49 is your over-under. Same direction as the Eagles wins and lose prediction. We'll let Sean put the rubber stamp on it. Mikey B, what's your pick for the Super Bowl on Sunday?
I am going to I'll start with the over. I do think the over hits, and I think the over hits because of one very big particular reason. Super Bowl MVP Saquon Barkley. Give me the Eagles. Give me the over. And I will say it for the first time, I think, ever on this show. This one's for you, Matt. Fly, Eagles, fly.
There you go. I also think the over is going to hit, because I think the over is going to hit, as I mentioned in some of my points as we were discussing the game. I think that is a bad sign for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think the Eagles will cover the spread. And look, the only reason that I'm even mildly okay with it is because if you look up here where I'm pointing, the last time this happened, this red banner also happened about 4 months later. So I will pick the Philadelphia Eagles to win the Super Bowl. I hope that the Washington Capitals can, complete the other half of the story as they did in 2018. But I do think that the Philadelphia Eagles become a 2-time Super Bowl champ this Sunday. Sean.
Look, we all hear all the time that
I
defense.
will not say that the thing Mike said.
Yeah,
For
you don't
Matt.
have to. You don't have to.
I
said it for
won't
Matt.
do that.
It's
I
all right,
promise you.
James. We read between the lines. We heard it. All right. Anyway, they say defense wins championships. Obviously, as far as this game goes, it apparently also gets you to the opportunity to win a championship. I think we're seeing the two, in my opinion. I think we're seeing the best defense in both conferences, in my opinion. And because of that, I am not going to take the over that you guys think is going to hit. I'm going to take the under. And despite what Jim's prediction was, which all makes sense, I'm not scared of the under. I feel like the Eagles match up well. It's hard to say that against Pat Mahomes, but I feel like we match up well against them. I feel like it's nothing we haven't seen. There's no superstar that's better than anyone we haven't shut down. And I feel like we just need to stay calm on the defensive side of the ball. The rookies at corner do concern me in a game this large, but they both seem like pretty calm dudes, and they almost seem to thrive on pressure situations. So having said all that, give me the under. I think, in my opinion, if you're betting on the game, winner or loser, whatever, take the side you want. I don't think there's an obvious pick here, but in my opinion, if you've been following my projections, I don't even know how I'm doing this year, but I will tell you that the under is the most solid bet if you're going to throw a single high-paying bet out there. But yeah, give me the Eagles, not only to cover the one, just cover the one,
Cover the one, baby.
Right.
cover that
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Lose by a half.
Right, like
Eagles gonna win.
in a sport where you can't have half points
Right.
and you can't have a tie, a 1-point spread is a push. Let's be
push.
fair.
Yeah,
it is literally a push.
Yeah, give me the Eagles all the way. I even though it's under, I think the Eagles win by more than a score. I think by the last drive, it's pretty much just. I think it's just. I'm not even sure we give Pat the ball at the end of the game. I feel like you just run it out, take some knees, and call it a day. And the Eagles. I just look at the two rosters, and I refuse to believe that anything else is going to happen. But the most tired take, by the way, of the Super Bowl. And it's at least down here in the Tampa. I've listened to national broadcasts with Cowherd and with other people. Can we just stop everyone from being EJ for a freaking second and sitting on the fence? I am the most tired take. Every time an expert comes in, fantasy, NFL, whatever the expert is, they go, who do you got in the game? I hear, well, the Eagles have the better roster. The Eagles are the better team. The Eagles have the most talent.
I know where you're going with this.
I won't bet against Pat Mahomes. Like, stop it.
Right.
If you think the Eagles are better, then take the Eagles. If you think Pat Mahomes is a magic show, then don't tell me how good the Eagles are. Tell me how Patrick Mahomes is going to beat them. I don't want to hear this flippy-flop EJ nonsense anymore. And I got a bad feeling for the next 5 days, that's all we're going to hear. And we're going to get to game day, and I don't care. I don't even know what networks. If it's Gronk, if it's Dungy, if it's what. Tony Dungy's the only one that I trust to not do it.
Yeah.
He's going to stick.
He's
be like,
NBC, so you won't even really hear from him.
Won't even hear him say it, but I guarantee he's going to talk about defense. He's going to pick the Eagles. But man, it is an excruciatingly painful take, and it's been the hardest part. Not the waiting. Sorry, Tom Petty, the waiting is not the hardest part.
It's the bad takes.
The lack of a spine in
You're better than this. You're smarter than this. At least I thought so.
How have we not played that more for EJ in the last few weeks?
Well, because he's not better.
I'm glad he's not on the show because I was going to text you to have, don't you put that juju on me, Ricky Bobby. I was going to have that ready because he was going to be like, well, the Eagles are. Like, James hit it.
I mean, I have this one for him.
I'm not a smart man.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, look, I mean, Media Week is an absolute nightmare when sports media has dissolved itself to bad take artists and clickbaitists on social media. It's
I don't
kind
think
of
they know. I think the trouble is no one knows what to do because it's not. we're not in a world where it's like, well, I'm going to pick the obvious pick here. Like it was like last week in the Eagles Commanders. Like if you were like, well, let's look at the tape and let's look at the teams, like you would just be like, well, I think the Eagles just going to push them around. But it's a more fun take to take Jaden Daniels and to be like, I called it. You know, there's no upset here.
Right.
Like you're in a true pick'em in a middle of the road over under, like lower than you would probably presume for a Super Bowl. So like, I don't think everybody wants to make that big take, and there isn't one. You just have to be like, I know what I'm talking about, and this is what is going to happen. And nobody wants to put their foot down.
Yeah,
because there's no fun pick where like everybody will forget it.
Yeah, and I mean it's
because that's the underdog pick. Is you're like, I take the underdog, and then when they don't win, everybody just forgets you made it.
It's the easy way out,
Yeah.
I always trust Mahomes in these spots. It's the it is the Tom Brady. I always trust Tom Brady.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget that Pat Mahomes lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a game that they also nobody wanted to pick against him. Tom Brady lost to the Philadelphia Eagles in a game where nobody wanted to pick against. Like
Patrick Mahomes lost to Joe Burrow in a game that nobody wanted to pick the Cincinnati Bengals.
Like it happens, and so I would love nothing more than the dream of dreams.
Here's the thing:
to just be a lopsided game where everybody goes, I can't believe what's happening.
Here's the thing: I obviously don't have a lot of experience with my team playing in championship games, but going into the national title game, it was a 9 point, 8 or 9 points in Ohio State's favor. It's Notre Dame always chokes these games away. It's Penn State wasn't any good. Well, Georgia had their backup quarterback. Meanwhile, people apparently forgot that Notre Dame lost 16 starters over the course of the season. But what do I know? But like in going into that game in the build up, and I avoided sports media because sports media is mostly dumb.
And rightly so.
I was actually kind of happy. I'm like, look, let everybody doubt us. Let everybody.
Right. I like that more. I would much rather the people that are taking Mahomes just be like, the Chiefs are going to kill him. Like, just say it. Like, be like, the Chiefs are better.
No matter what way it is, Sean, just like let him be it. Like they're like, because like some people were even saying like, man, this feels like a different Notre Dame team, but so it's like I really like this Eagles roster, but so like. Because even going into the
kind
Georgia
of fine
game,
with it, though,
Penn State
people recognize the Eagles are good, but no one's picking them.
See, because I don't think that anyone legitimately can say that the Eagles are going to or the Eagles are going to get their doors blown off, or vice versa. I don't think.
Yeah, nobody knows what to say.
I genuinely feel like this might be the first one where you're looking at it and going, "Yeah, cool. I think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the National Football League right now. I think he gives them an edge because he's been there." Then you look at. I think the Eagles defense is better, and then you have Saquon Barkley and you have the other pieces. I don't think that you can't just come out and say
it's hard.
I think X team's going to blow the doors off the other, because when you look stupid on Monday morning because you were habitually wrong,
right?
Then you got to go out there and try to defend it.
And I will say this: if a team's going to blow the doors off the other team,
it'll be the Eagles winning.
I feel confident that it would be Philadelphia doing it.
Correct.
I don't know that Kansas City can push the Eagles around enough to do it now, unless that turnover conversation that we had a little bit ago, or like the point we both made.
Well, and
that would flip flop it a bit.
And also 59 and 160. The answer to that question is, what are the Chiefs and Eagles point differentials in the regular season? The Chiefs were 15-2 and they had a plus 59. The Eagles 14-3, they had a plus 160. The Chiefs weren't blowing anybody away.
No.
All year. So yeah, the Chiefs are not going to blow.
By the way, is the biggest takeaway from the Buffalo game. To me was it wasn't a fourth down. It wasn't should have been incomplete. It wasn't any of that. The point is, you are a defensive team, and the Chiefs scored more points against you in the championship game than they scored in any game all year.
Right. Yeah.
And if you just hold them to their norm,
you win.
Yeah.
And
they couldn't.
So yeah, like if I'm the Eagles, I'm fine with people saying that. And I think, like, as lazy as the take is, when it is a close game, that's what people are going to do. It's this. Right. I mean, Tom Brady had 97 fourth quarter comebacks or whatever the hell it was in his
Sure.
career. And that's why people would go like, man, if this is a one-score game, I'm giving the edge to Tom Brady. That until you prove it otherwise, they're going to continue to do that with Patrick Mahomes.
The difference would be in the Chiefs scenario, in a close game, when it was Tom Brady, I was scared of Tom Brady. And I was scared of whoever their coordinator was, but it was Tom Brady. Against the Chiefs, it's like, sure, I'm scared of Pat Mahomes, but I'm even more scared of Andy Reid. Because he draws up a play that plays to you. He's been watching you all day, and he will figure out. He's like, if we run this play, that corner's going to bite, and he will make you pay for it. So,
and to close up the thought, like when I was talking about the over/under number,
I love Andy, but I'm going to have to hate him.
Like I don't think the Eagles should be scared of a game that goes under. My only point was the Chiefs should be scared of a game that goes over. Like
Correct.
the Eagles can win either way.
And that's the better of the two takes.
Yeah, the Eagles can win either way. The Chiefs can't, in my opinion.
Correct.